Daybreak with John Stapleton and Helen Fospero.
Good morning, it's 6 o'clock on Wednesday the 3rd of July.
The top stories this morning.
Thanks very much, John. Good morning. Migrants will have to pay hundreds of pounds a year to use the NHS in future. Visitors from outside the EU will also face upfront charges to see a GP. Well, Katie Fawcett is at a surgery in Birmingham with more details. Katie. At least 16 people have been killed and 200 injured in the latest clashes in Egypt. Well, a plane carrying the Bolivian president home from Moscow was diverted overnight after suspicions that the CIA whistleblower Edward Snowden was on board. Major changes to the territorial army will be confirmed in the Commons later by the Defence Secretary Philip Hammond. It's being rebranded as the Army Reserve, with the number of soldiers set to increase rapidly over the next few years. Parents should be banned from dropping their children off outside school gates to help tackle Britain's obesity crisis. On to Wimbledon now, and Andy Murray will take on Spain's Fernando Verdasco in the quarter-finals this afternoon on centre court. Louisa James is in SW19 for us. Louisa, Murray himself has described the Spaniard as dangerous. Should we be worried, do you think? Let's see if the weather's going to be nice for Andy Murray at Wimbledon. Here's Laura.
Build and build those temperatures up to 30 degrees by next week.
Looking forward to that very much indeed. Thanks very much indeed. Let's take a look at the morning papers. Front page of the Times has a piece saying that Labour has been forced to seize control of 14 of its constituency parties. And on the front page of the Telegraph, a rather gloomy forecast from Mr Jeremy Haywood.
Fears of a new care crisis at an NHS hospital makes the front page of The Guardian. They're talking about Thameside General Hospital in Manchester, where apparently patients have had to wait up to 4 days to see a consultant and have been left on stretchers in corridors because A&E is so overcrowded. Talking of doctors of a different kind, just there quickly on the front page of The Guardian, Emma Thompson and her mum Phyllida Law got honorary doctorates in Glasgow yesterday. Emma said it was the best starring role they've ever had together. And on the Mail, Qatar to be booted out by Sunday, says the Mail. Apparently this breakthrough is following an adoption by the Middle Eastern state of a treaty that will protect Qatar's human rights. That's the subject we'll be talking about a bit later. And has Judy got the hot for the hunk Andy Faces?
Well, you've mentioned him twice already.
I have.
So you might as well.
I know, I won't show it, but just for research purposes, I've been checking out page 7.
Coming up on the show.
That's coming up for you after the latest news, weather and travel where you are.
Welcome back. Time is 12 minutes past 6. A crackdown on so-called health tourists who travel to the UK for free NHS treatment is being announced today.
But should foreign visitors who come from outside the EU and are sick be refused treatment altogether?
Well, as you can see, Dr Hillary is with us now. So they're going to charge people who come over to this country for treatment on the NHS. What's your take on that?
Well, we have to protect the NHS. The NHS is struggling in a major way financially. For every penny that is spent on someone who's not eligible for NHS treatment, who's currently getting it, that's money that could be spent on cancer treatments, on heart operations, treatments for leukemia for children. We have to look after our NHS. And when Bevan brought the NHS in 65 years ago, he wanted free care at the point of delivery, from the cradle to the grave, for people in this country, not for the rest of the world. And I think we have to be ruthless about this, and we need a government with the ruthlessness and the courage to actually stop health tourism, which is costing, some experts say, billions, not just the 200 million that's estimated.
Is this going to cause, though, a lot more red tape for doctors who obviously are already struggling to do the care they need to do because everybody's so overstretched?
I hope not. I think the only solutions that work are simple ones. There's got to be a simple way of detecting who's eligible for NHS treatment and who isn't. You can't expect doctors who, in a busy surgery, is confronted with somebody who's ill and poorly in front of them to say, are you going to give me your credit card now before we start? Doctors aren't in the habit of doing that. They're not trained to do that. They're not accountants. They're carers. And doctors are not affected in their own pocket when somebody comes in to see them. So there's no onus on doctors to do that at the moment for two reasons. Firstly, they're carers, and secondly, it doesn't affect their pocket if they're giving NHS treatment to somebody who's not eligible. And until doctors are hit hard in the pocket themselves, so they're fined for giving NHS treatment to someone who's not eligible, it's not going to change.
How do you as a doctor square this proposal, if it goes ahead, and it's suggestions are that it will, with your sort of duty, really, as a doctor, to treat anyone who turns up, basically?
Well, we have a duty of care. We have to give treatment that is immediately necessary. And of course, how do you tell until you've seen and assessed the patient in the first place whether the treatment is immediately necessary? It's an impossible ask. If we don't do it, there's litigation coming our way because we've been clinically negligent. If we do it, we're bankrupting the NHS. So the Health Minister has to come up with an answer that is simple, workable, that isn't too steeped in red tape. But I think he needs to do it. He has to have the guts to do it, because otherwise the NHS is wasting and leaking millions of pounds every year.
We'll be asking the aforementioned Minister what the answer is in about half an hour's time.
Good. I look forward to hearing what he has to say.
Thanks
We all
very
do.
much,
Hilary, thanks very much
yes,
indeed.
we're all looking forward to that. We'd like to know, of course, what you think about this. Do you think it's about time that we crack down on people from outside the UK abusing the NHS? Or do you think it puts doctors and nurses, as Hilary was saying, in an impossible situation?
Get in touch with us either through email, Twitter or Facebook, or if you're over 18, you can text on 67890. Text costs 25p plus your standard network charge. We'd like to get your comments in, if you can, please, before 8 o'clock. And that's our top story this morning.
Well, let's bring you more on that story now.
Middle East correspondent Richard Spencer is in Cairo and joins us now via a video call. Richard, thanks very much indeed for talking to us. What has been the reaction to the President's assertion that he's not going anywhere? He's the President and he's there to stay.
Yeah, well, it's a very divided response.
That's the deadline they've set for him to sort all this out.
A £1.8 billion shake-up of the army is being unveiled by the government today, which will see the territorial army grow by 50% in the next 5 years. Con, is this creating an army on the cheap, as some critics have suggested?
Have a more integrated role in the way the army operates.
The government the Defence Secretary argues, or will argue. Will that work in your view?
Also for the business community.
What are your main concerns about it?
My concerns really are around...
Most recruits, certainly. They haven't had the initial...
The question I have for the government is it will be cheaper to
Briefly, what's your go?
I think, having said about the risk, I'm concerned more about the reality.
I just wanted to add quickly.
Thank you. Bolivian President Evo Morales' plane has been diverted to Austria amid suspicion that US intelligence leaker Edward Snowden is on board, the Bolivian foreign minister has said. This comes as a growing number of countries have rejected his requests for asylum.
Our US correspondent Lucy Watson joins us live now from New York. Lucy, turning into a bit of a farce, all this, isn't it?
Lucy, what's been the reaction from the Bolivian government about this diversion? Security expert Will Geddes is here, and Will, this is becoming, as Lucy said, almost farcical now, isn't it? Applications to 21 different countries. Is Bolivia going to be a safe haven, do you think, for him?
Of their airspace, but Americans are moving their pieces around.
The mighty United States is going to get there.
As we saw with Julian Assange, particularly here in London.
Or when he ends up back in the States, what will actually happen to him?
A hero, not a villain, frankly.
People could say, yes, there can be intrusions.
OK, time now. We're just coming up 27 minutes past 6. Let's catch up on the weather with Laura.
Good morning to both of you.